Hello, welcome back. I'm Juliana and today we're going to be making lemon Bundt cake. So this is a really easy recipe and it's a great way to get to use any lemons that might be going bad or. So our first step is going to be to preheat the oven as always. So we're going to preheat to 350 degrees. And so first we're going to start by mixing our dry ingredients. So here I have 3 cups of flour. And then I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I like to use the flat edge of the container to evenly scoop out 1 teaspoon. And then we're just going to whisk this together. Okay, and that's it for our dry ingredients. So now we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. So for our wet ingredients, we are first going to cream together 2 cups of sugar as well as 1 cup of unsalted butter, which is 2 sticks. So I just put my butter in the microwave for a little bit just to soften it. You don't want it melted because you're going to cream it together. So, and mix it until it's nice and fluffy. The more you mix it, the better it's going to be. And if you have a mixer, like of course it's easier, but it can also be done with just a normal whisk. And the softer your butter, the easier this will be. And then you're also going to add in a teaspoon of salt. I typically add less than the recipe states because for me it's too salty, so I'll just do like a bit less than what it says. And then just mix that up. So when it's fluffy, it should look like this. So it's kind of like a paste. So yeah. So once it's at this consistency, you want to start incorporating your eggs. So you're going to do that one at a time. And I always crack my eggs on like a flat surface instead of the edge of the bowl because it makes sure that when you crack it, oh shoot, I said one at a time. When you crack it, the shell, instead of like going inside and then when you open it, it goes in the bowl, it doesn't do that. So, I accidentally added 2, but it's fine. We're just gonna mix it really well. And then the last egg. Alright, so your mixture should now look like this. It'll be like a bit runny, but it's still thick, and that's what you want. Okay, so now is the time that we add in the actual lemon flavor. So you only need about 1 lemon for this, and you're also going to need like a grater. So you're going to need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, so the skin of the lemon, and a 1/4 cup of the lemon juice. So yeah, you're using both of it in this recipe. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the lemon zest first. So you can wash your lemon if you want, and I would since you're actually using the skin. So you can use one of these graters, or you can also use one of like the big stand-up ones. But I think for our purposes, this one's probably easier because you don't need that much. So I'm just gonna get like a small bowl and start scraping it. And you don't need to go that deep because most of the flavor of the zest is like the very outer layer. So the deeper in you go, like you're losing that flavor. So it should just turn like a pale yellow. And then I'm gonna do this until I reach 2 tablespoons. Okay, so now I have all my lemon zest. That took me about like 1.5 lemons worth. So not exactly 1 lemon. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in there and get all of it. And then we're going to move on to the lemon juice. So you can use the same lemon that you used for the zest. You're just gonna cut it in half. If you have a juicer like this, I would recommend using it, but you could probably also do it with your hands because you only need a 1/4 cup. So we're just gonna take the lemon, squeeze it. Try to get as much out of it as you can. And it might be actually easier because you don't have like the thick skin that makes it harder to squeeze. So I went ahead and measured out my lemon juice and I added it in there. And then the last thing we're gonna add is a teaspoon of vanilla extra, or imitation vanilla. And I just use the cap. Now we're gonna mix that all together. Okay, so now you should have this batter-like mixture. And at this point, if you want, you could like taste test it to your preference of like, is it sour enough, or do you want to add more sourness to it? It's really up to you, but I'm just gonna leave it as is. So now we're going to incorporate our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. Alright, so when adding in your dry ingredients, you also need a cup of milk. So that's what I have here. So what you're going to do is you're going to add in half of your flour mixture and mix it. And you don't have to mix it too fast. And then you're going to add in all of your milk. And what the milk does is that it kind of brings back the moisture that the flour is taking away. So you're just going to slowly mix that in there. It may look lumpy at first, but I promise it'll smoothen out. And then finally you're going to add in the rest of your flour. And you want to end on your flour, not on the milk, because then your mixture will stay kind of like the lumpiness that it was when you added in the milk. Okay, so now that that is all nice and mixed, we have a pretty thick batter here. If you feel that your batter is a bit too thick, you can add a bit more milk. So yeah, and then same thing, if your batter is too thin, just add in a bit more flour. So now I'm gonna switch over to my spatula, and with this I'm just gonna scrape down the sides of the bowl and get any ingredients that I missed. So just scraping. And also be careful not to over mix your batter. Okay, so this is what my batter looks like. As you can see, it's pretty thick, but it's meant to be a thicker batter, so that's completely fine. So now we're going to prepare our pan. So you're going to need your Bundt cake pan for this. Mine looks very fancy, but you can use any pan. Alright, so now you're going to want to grease your pan. I'm just using cooking spray, but you could also use flour and just like sprinkle it around. But I'm just worried that with flour it would still stick to the pan. So that you could also use like a softened butter and like grease the sides. That would probably work as well. Or you could do both just to be safe. So I'm going to heavily grease my pan. And then we're gonna scoop in our batter. So since this batter is so thick, you want to use the help of your spatula and like distribute it evenly around the pan. Alright, so now I've scooped all of my batter in my pan, and I'm just going to use my spatula to get it into all the nooks and crannies and make sure that it's evenly distributed throughout my pan. And then I'm just going to, once it's all smoothed out, I'm just going to use my spatula and like go all around to smooth it out. So now, we don't want any air bubbles in here, so we're just going to tap it on the table. And then now it's time to bake. So we're going to put it in the oven for about 50 minutes. It takes a while. But we're going to make the glaze and the icing while it bakes. Alright, so for the glaze we need a ½ cup of sugar and a ¼ cup of lemon juice. So once again, I'm going to grab my squeezer, and then I'm going to use that other lemon that I grated for the zest. I'm going to squeeze that. So same amount, just a ¼ cup. And then you're going to want to get yourself a microwave safe bowl. So this is like really easy to make. You literally just take sugar and lemon juice and then microwave it and stir it. Here I have a ½ cup of sugar, so I'm going to add that in there. And I'm going to take my lemon juice and measure out a ¼ cup. And make sure that, like, if you want, you can like stir it up a bit. And then you're gonna microwave this for a minute, but at 30 seconds you're gonna take it out, mix it, and then put it back in. So that's what I'm gonna do. And so basically you want to make sure that the sugar is completely dissolved, so you have a glaze. Alright, so my glaze is out of the oven, and it should look like a clear sort of mixture, and it's kind of watery. And also, as it cools, it'll kind of get slightly more thicker and like more glaze-like. So we're just gonna set that off to the side until our cake is done. And then now we're going to make the icing. Okay, so now we're gonna make the icing. So we need even more lemons. Surprise, surprise. So I have some leftover lemon juice from when I squeezed it for the glaze. And you only need about 3 tablespoons worth. And then you also need another lemon, and you have to zest all of that. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to do it straight into the bowl because that's where it's going to go anyways. Also, I forgot to mention the first time, but please do be careful when using a zester, because you could accidentally grate your hand and you don't want to do that. So I recommend holding the zester straight and like on the bottom, and then moving your hand, so that way you have more control. So I'm just gonna zest the entire lemon, and then I'll get back to you. And you also need powdered sugar. Okay, so I zested all of my lemon, and now I'm just gonna add in the rest of my lemon juice. And I'm going to measure out my powdered sugar. And powdered sugar can be pretty messy, but it's fine. And we need 2 cups. And that's 2. And then we're just gonna mix this all together. Alright, so I mixed it all up, and I found that it was a bit too thick. So I just added in a bit of milk. And so you still want it to be kind of thick, so that when you pour it over the cake, it doesn't just like run all over the place. But you still want it to be able to like drip. So kind of like that. And so this is ready for when the cake is all cooled. And this is the very last step. So now we're just gonna wait until our cake is done baking and then we'll move on. So our cake is all done baking, and you can tell if you stick a toothpick in and it comes out clean. And it's cooled for about 10 minutes. And you want it to let it cool for a little bit, so when you like take it out of the pan, it comes out in one piece. So it's still gonna be hot, so you're just gonna use the pot holders. Oh. Okay. Well, it came out pretty fast. So there it is. And now we're going to use our glaze. So the reason I have this skewer is because I'm going to take it, I'm going to poke holes like all around it. And so the purpose of this is so that the glaze actually goes inside the cake, and it like helps to moisten it, and it infuses more of the lemon flavor. So I'm just going to make holes all around it. So now I've made holes all over my cake, and I'm going to get my glaze, and you might want to use like a brush of some sort. If not, you could probably like spoon it in. And now I'm just going to take it and brush it over the cake and trying to get it over all the holes that I made. If you want your cake to be a bit less sweet, then you don't have to use all of the glaze. And I made holes on the inside as well, just to get it like all throughout. Okay, so now I did all my glaze and I let my cake completely cool. And so now we're gonna put our icing. And your icing may have hardened on top of it, but it's fine if you just mix it, it'll go back to normal. So we're gonna take this, and we're just gonna pour it over. And you wanna let it drip onto the sides. And you don't have to use all the icing. In fact, a lot of it's probably going to go on the plate, so it's fine. And then if you want, you can like cover the whole thing. And then you're just going to let the glaze harden. And yeah, that's it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!